Hi, my name is Johnny Dykes, and welcome to the second installment of Protecting Your Investments. Today, we're going to cover our foundation repair side and what that looks like, what you need to be looking for, and what you should expect out of a foundation crew servicing your home. Hi, welcome to the second installment of Protecting Your Investments. My name is Johnny Dykes, and today I'm joined with one of our main foundation consultants, Cody Beaver. And today, Cody's going to go over with us kind of what the foundation process is in a nutshell, kind of cradle to grave, if you will. So, Cody, thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump right into it. What is kind of foundation repair in a nutshell?
Foundation repair is obviously repairing your current foundation, not replacement, foundation repair. So there's a lot of different types of foundations out there. If you live in a home, you have a foundation, obviously. So we have three main types: slab, crawl space, and basement. So those are the three main types that we see. And then there's different construction materials used to build those, whether it be stone or poured concrete or block or what have you. Mm-hmm. But in a sense, it's just repairing those in their current position.
Okay. So it probably sounds kind of like a silly question, but why is foundation repair so important? Because a lot of people see a problem and they think, well, it's either going to go away or it's been there for years and I don't want to deal with it.
Right. And we get that, hey, it's been that way 30 years. Well, I'm not going to debate that fact that it's been there 30 years. Obviously, you've been here, so you would know it's been there 30 years. The fact of the matter is, will it continue to progress?
Yeah.
And what will that progression do to your home? Your house, every house sits on a foundation. If you don't have a foundation underneath your house, you don't have a house. So it's pretty important to get those repaired. It's very important to be more proactive than reactive on those types of things. So if you're seeing stuff, it's really best to call a consultant, call somebody, have them take a look at it, assess what's going on, and come up with a solution. If it isn't a problem, great. But if it is, it's best to really tackle that issue right then and there.
Okay. And since you mentioned tackling the issue, I know a question I get quite a bit is, when is it best to get things done? Obviously the guys are out in the field all year, but a lot of people seem to think you have to do work in the summer or the spring.
Right. And that's not the case at all. I mean, we can do full line of foundation repair all throughout 365 days a year. I mean, you're going to have obvious situations where, it's raining and, it's just bad weather outside. And if you got to be outside, you don't obviously want to be opening up a trench around somebody's foundation if it's raining 6 inches. So, but beyond that, I mean, we work through the cold, we work through pretty much anything. So it's not just a spring and summer type of thing. If you're seeing issues, call us. We're doing foundation repair year round.
Okay. Yeah, you probably don't want to be excavating extra space around the foundation when there's a bunch of rainfall coming in.
Not unless you want a swimming pool.
Yeah, we have some extra issues. Might have to have us come out and pump out water.
That's right.
So let's kind of walk through, what's the consultant process look like when you get to someone's house? What are you doing cradle to grave, and how does that operate?
So when we get to a home, we come in as a consultant. We're not coming in as the throw everything at you, got to do all these things. We're a consultant. We're going to come in, we're going to sit down with you at the kitchen table, treat you like a human being, right? We'll have a great conversation. We'll sit down at the table. We'll figure out what those concerns are at the table. We'll talk about them. And then from there, you can kind of show us around and just give your overview on what you've seen and what's changed in the years you've lived there. Then we can talk about solutions to repair those issues. If it needs repaired, if it doesn't need repaired, if it's just something that, it's just a little hairline crack. All foundations have little small cracks. It's just the way of concrete. As it cures, it dries, it's going to crack a little bit. So if there's nothing that needs done, we're gonna straight out tell you nothing needs done. Just monitor, and it's very good to be proactive, not reactive. You want to really focus, go down in your basement. Don't just think it's a scary dungeon type of thing. You really need to be down there every so often, looking around, seeing if you're seeing anything like that. So yeah, that's pretty much, get in there, take a look at it, meet with the customer, show us around, and then from there we can go back to the table. If there's something that does need done, we can sit down at the table and we can come up with an affordable solution to fix it. Whether or not, one or two walls, if you've got some lean or some bowing, if this one's worse than the other, we can obviously focus on that worst wall. We can get that one repaired and kind of do things in stages. We try to make it affordable. That way it's not such a huge hit to people. And obviously, if you don't do anything, the downside, the backside of that is if you don't and that wall continues to progress, it may need to get replaced. And I can tell you from experience, replacement, which we don't do as a company, but replacement is way more expensive than repair.
Yeah.
Way by far. Because literally they're going in, they're lifting your house, they're taking that old wall out, they're building a new wall in. You got to think of just the disruptance of your yard for one, and just it's an ugly adventure.
Yeah.
So something you don't want to have to do.
So it's kind of like getting the oil changed in your car instead of waiting until the engine blows up to get it replaced.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a great analogy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's perfect.
It's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, absolutely. You do just as much maintenance on your vehicle, and your home is your biggest investment of your life in most cases.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't you, right? Why wouldn't you be more proactive on that? If that is your largest investment ever that you're ever going to do, why wouldn't you spend the money to maintain that?
Yeah, and that's, you really hit it right on the head. The nail on the head there is, for most people, it is the largest investment they'll ever make. And part of that is it turns into kind of a retirement plan. A lot of people want to be able to sell that family home. They get older. Well, if you don't maintain it, you don't take care of it, you're not going to sell it. Now, I know most of all of our systems come with a warranty. Can you kind of go over those warranties with us real quick?
So we've been in business a long time, a lot of years. This year will be our 50th anniversary this year. So, and we give great warranties for the stuff we do. We stand 100% behind what we do. So if you have a leaning or bowing wall and we come in and do a repair on it, you're going to get a 25-year transferable warranty. If you sell that house in 10 years, that warranty still has 15 years left on it. It's transferable at no cost. So wall stabilization, if your house is sinking, again, piering, 25-year warranty. If you're getting water in your basement and you need a drain tile system or a sump system, something like that, the drain tile system itself comes with a lifetime transferable warranty. So these products are a one and done type thing. We're not throwing in, it's not a throwaway thing. It's not that you're going to have to do it again in 10 years. You get it done this one time, and we 100% stand behind our products. So
that's pretty incredible. I don't know. I personally don't know of very many companies in the industry that actually stand behind it for that period of time.
Yeah, and the one thing about that is, as a company, being in business for 50 years, we have a lot of customers ask us, hey, how good is that 25-year warranty really? Are you going to be around in 5 years even? We've been in business 50 years. We're very strong. Yes, we'll be around for another 50, 100. Who knows?
50 years and growing.
That's right.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty impressive. You kind of touched briefly on, you mentioned piering. You're throwing out some kind of words that I don't think a lot of people really understand what that is. Could you kind of go over those quickly, and that way people understand those?
As far as the different types of repairs?
So if you're stabilizing walls,
absolutely,
piers, things like that.
So piering is if you've got a settlement issue. So say your house is settling, it's sinking to one corner, which they call differential settlement. It's sinking to that corner. What we do is we come in, we set up a laser in your house, and then we're going to take elevation measurements. Those measurements are going to tell us where it's sinking and how much. And off of that information, we're going to know how many piers need to go in. And what a pier is, it's, in a nutshell, now this is pretty layman here, it's an L bracket, in a sense, that fits underneath the footing of your house, and then there's steel pilings driven into the ground with a hydraulic ram, and we drive those into the ground until we hit solid strata or bedrock. Lifting. So once we get those in place, then we can hook our lift cylinders to those, which are also hydraulic, and that links them all together. So when we hit the button to go, your house will lift up out of the ground. Pretty neat.
That is pretty neat.
You can shut each one of those lift cylinders off independently. So if you only need a half an inch here, we can shut that one down and keep lifting as we come across. That way we're not putting a lot of pressure. If you try to lift them one at a time, you put a lot of weight, a lot of stress on those footings of the house. So we lift that all up together, get your house back up to level, and you're good to go. So
Yeah, so it's I like analogies, obviously. So imagine a bunch of spaghetti. You don't want to create that extra torque because you're going to break that spaghetti, right?
That's right.
So you want to twist them all at the same time in the same direction.
Yep. So yeah, you don't want to put all that load. You got to think of how much a house weighs. And if you're trying to lift it in one spot, what's that house going to do? It's going to want to crunch around that and break. So we want to get those all driven, and we'll do that lift. And it's pretty amazing to watch a house actually lift. It's pretty. Most of our customers like to come outside and watch it happen, just because it's so neat. But we can do that. We can, again, just going back to the different things we can do. You've got leaning and bowing walls. Ground anchors is something that we do where we can straighten walls over time. If you don't want to excavate and straighten them instantly, which we can do, we can just put those in and you can progressively tighten that wall over time. We can do the same thing with our Whaler system, which a lot of people, when they see like the old I-beams, in a sense, similar, but in most cases, those are put in with wood blocking, which fails in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
So all steel and adjustable on our vertical beams as well. So they anchor to the floor, not in the concrete, to the top of the floor with a foot plate. That way you have a hinge point for that to adjust, and you're not pulling moisture out of that concrete floor. It's causing it to rust. So those again will hold a wall in place, so stabilize 25 years. And then we can also adjust them to straighten walls where we don't have the ability possibly to run a ground anchor out. We don't have, because engineering specs, we follow all engineering specs on our stuff that we do, on all of our repairs. So you have to have a minimum of 9 feet. Well, in a city setting, you don't always have 9 feet to the property line.
Right.
So that's where those Whalers come in. And we do a lot of Whalers, a lot of steel beams, because they are a set and forget it type of fix. You get it put in, you crank them in tight to that wall to contact and hold that wall, and you sheetrock over them if you want to. And it's done. And if there's ever an issue, we're a phone call away. And we're there to fix it. So those are, I would say, the piering and the Whalers and anchors. And the one other thing would be our basement waterproofing system. Our interior drain tile, which a lot of people have hydrostatic pressure, have water issues here in Kansas, well, throughout the United States for that matter. But a lot of it, people find that, hey, we just got water that's appearing on our floor. And we can't figure out where the heck it's coming from. Well, in a lot of cases, it's at the cold joint where the wall and the floor are poured together. Most people don't understand that they're not poured at the same time. So it creates a cold joint up against that wall, and that's where that water builds underneath the slab of your home, and it'll seep up through that joint. Or you've got cracks leaking through the wall. So we have our drain tile system that will capture that water, capture it below the floor, capture it coming in the wall, and get it all drained off to a sump pump, where in turn it'll do its job and get that water outside. So those, in a nutshell, I guess, those are kind of the four main ones there.
Well, no, that's a good description. And the waterproofing drain tile system, that's a lifetime warranty.
Lifetime
correct?
warranty.
Okay.
Yep, lifetime transferable. All of our warranties are transferable. So if you're doing it just to get, just to sell it, even that warranty obviously will go right into their name. We just need notified. That's all we ask. It doesn't cost you anything to transfer the warranty. Even you just need to notify us that, hey, we're selling the property, and we'll transfer it right over.
It's pretty awesome.
Yep.
So what in your opinion makes our process that you do specifically unique? What makes us unique to the industry as far as that foundation repair side goes?
So as far as unique to the industry, I feel like we're more customer based. So we always strive to be the best in what we do, obviously. But in a lot of cases, guys are coming out there and they're trying to sell you all this stuff.
Yeah.
What I feel like sets us apart is that consultant mentality. So we're coming in, treat you like a person, try to make the budget work, try to do these things that fit for you. I feel like that really sets us apart. And we really, if there's ever an issue, we want you to call us. We don't dread those phone calls. We welcome you to call. If you see anything, just call us. we'll definitely come out and check it out. And then, all of our products we get out of Minnesota through Safe Basements. So all American steel, all American made products, everything that we do. All of our guys are trained at the engineering facility where all these products are built. So they have that knowledge of being right there where everything's built, getting training directly from them. I feel like that really sets us apart too. It's not just, Fred off the street corner that's in your basement trying to fix things, These are trained professionals that are down there doing the work.
Well, and not to get off on too much of a tangent, but I think for all of our services we offer, including our water and our mold, that's definitely one thing that really sets us apart in the industry as a total or a whole, is we invest a lot of time, a lot of money into training the staff, which I think is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's really, in the jobs I've done in my lifetime, it's really unheard of for the amount of training that we get and the amount of time the company invests in their people. So, and that plays a huge part in setting us apart from the other guy, for sure.
I would say that's absolutely correct. So I know there's people out there, and like you'd mentioned earlier, it's kind of one of those things where people don't go down in the basement. They definitely don't go down in the crawl space. Nobody wants to get under there. But then it seems like, you hear people and they say, well, I'll go get something from Home Depot, or I'll go get something from somewhere else, or hey, can I buy this? What would you caution people on as far as going and trying to maybe say it's a crawl space and they need to raise up some beams or something? What would you caution them on with that?
You just the knowledge more than anything. I'm not saying you can't buy something from Home Depot that will work, obviously, but a lot of it has to do with installing it. If you don't have the knowledge to install it and you don't do it right, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. You just spend all the money on whatever product you just bought from Home Depot, Menards, wherever you bought it, right? You don't know necessarily how to install it. So you go down there and you do the best you can, right?
Yeah.
But then it does the same thing it did before. Now you're out all that money, all the time you spent doing it. So I'm not saying you can't do things yourself, because I'm a big believer in being able to do things yourself to an extent. But if you're not a mechanic, you don't pull out your motor, right? Same, just like the oil change.
I try not to.
Okay, so it's better to have a professional do those things. They have the knowledge, they have the tools, and they're there to help you. So
well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we custom cut all of our steel for the jobs.
Correct.
So we're not getting something that's a thin piece of steel off the shelf. It's actually custom cut, and like you mentioned, it's made in America. For those that don't know what that means, is that steel is actually serialized. So if there was some sort of failure on it, they can actually track it clear back to the mine that it was pulled out of.
They can tell you what hole it came out of.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. So yeah, our piering stuff, if there, any of the steel for that matter, if there was ever a failure in the steel, they, as the manufacturer, want to know about it.
Yeah.
And they want to know, that way they can track it back. And because everything we purchase through our supplier is, like Johnny said, it's got a serial number on it, and you can pull that right off your order, and right then and there.
Yeah.
So again, that just goes back to warranties, and you're buying the best of the best when you're getting something like that.
Yeah, you get a lot of pride in that. Not a lot of companies the size of Safe Basements are going to go back for one single product and track it back to where it came from to try to figure out what happened. So
yeah, once you buy it, you own it, right?
Yeah,
it's on you.
Yeah.
with them, it's they're very involved with their dealers. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're a great company. We're glad to work with them. So, Cody, a lot of people obviously think they hear foundation repair, they see a hole, they got water. They're obviously thinking, oh my God, this is going to cost me an arm and a leg to get it fixed. And I know we have some financing options. I don't know all the details on them. If you can kind of cover some of that.
Yeah, and that's a very common misconception. People will get on the internet, right? That's the first place everybody goes. You're going to jump on the internet. We're going to figure out how much this is going to cost. Well, you're going to find a huge range. You're going to see this guy, and then you're going to see this guy, right? And it's not comparable because you don't know exactly what they're doing, what products they're using, what they're trying to accomplish. So it's you really just need to call and then have the consultant come out. It's generally less than people think, honestly. I ask all my customers in the end, after I've done everything, we've sat down, we've done some numbers, how they feel, and what number they had in their head. And maybe I am a little higher, maybe I'm a lot lower. It's in most cases, I'm generally lower than what their thought was. So which is good. You know, it eases their mind. So people that are reluctant to call in because, hey, there's just no way I can afford this. That is not the case. Generally speaking, we can find something that's affordable, and that's, again, where financing comes in. So we have plenty of options available, from 0% options for those people that really like that 0%, right? Maybe you have the money sitting in an account somewhere, and it's great. You know, we'll run it at 0%, and you can pay it off then. But we also have some other options. Currently, 6.99% for 60 months and 6.99 for 84 months. So
it's a pretty good interest rate if anyone's following trends in interest rates right now. So
yeah, and that's a great rate and it's an unsecured, no collateral loan, and no penalty for early payoff. So, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. You do a 60-month, 5-year note, you can get a lot of repairs done for a good amount.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's good. And I think that kind of comes back to what you were talking about before about really taking care of the customer. Because I know you've had a lot of input on that, on what services to use for financing. I think that's awesome that we're able to find something that's pretty low.
Yeah.
Especially in the market today.
Absolutely. And, you know, and that just, again, don't be scared to call somebody.
Yeah.
All you have to say is no. I can't afford it. Just say no. Yeah. Right? But if you don't know and you're just scared to call, you'll just never know. And then at what point does your wall say, hey, I've had enough. I'm coming in. Yeah. You know? And then you've got a giant hole in your basement, which I have seen.
Yeah.
It's not common, so don't get too scared. But it can happen. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, sure. Given, I mean, you know, and that's one of the things kind of that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about, you know, out of sight, out of mind type thing. If you don't see it, it's okay until it's suddenly not. And that's
right.
That's where we don't want to see people is, you know, half their living room's in the basement and little Timmy's down there with it. So
right.
Which is terrifying. I mean, to me, that's terrifying to think about because it's a real issue that you can run into if it's not addressed. So
yeah. There's generally an affordable solution for every issue. That's what I want people to know. There's generally an affordable solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like you said earlier, too, it can be done in stages.
Yep.
So if you need more than one thing done, maybe we do it in stages.
That's right.
So I think that's pretty cool. So I know we kind of hear a lot about, or we have a lot of people that choose to go with us, maybe over certain other competitors, not to name any names, but what do a lot of them say as far as, or even if people want to go and look at our Google reviews, they can. What's the number one thing that you get from the customer inside the home?
I think it's service, customer service for one. And generally speaking, I mean, I wouldn't say we're the lowest cost because you're probably going to find, you know, Joe Schmo out there. I hate to say it that way, but essentially, that's been in business a year or two. That's still, you know, he's a long way from actually being that foundation repair guy that you should be hiring. And we're going to come in as the professional, right? I mean, again, consultant, get you what you need. And it's really so much more focused on customer service and customer satisfaction. That's what I hear a lot from people. You know, your office was great when I called in. Mm-hmm. You got reminders when my appointment was supposed to be. You showed up on time, which is a huge deal.
Yeah.
We're on time. You know, I tell you I'm going to be there at 9:30. I'll be there at 9:30, right? Same with our production. Once Once your deposit is made for your project, you're going to get a date. And guess what? We're going to be there that day to do it. So, and that's a huge thing. Contractors have such a bad name when it comes to showing up on time, date or time for that matter.
Yeah.
You end up getting pushed out weeks, months, who knows? So that sets us apart a lot. You're going to get step by step. You're going to know the whole thing, and it's all out front. And I really feel like that sets us apart a lot.
So you're telling me you're not going to say I'll be there between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m.?
No.
Okay. Well, that's
no. You'll get a date and the time, and that's what. And I feel like that's really what blows people away is, I called 4 companies, and one guy, 2 guys didn't ever call me back. The third guy came out late, and he never even sent me a bid. And you were on time, and you wrote the bid on site, which we do. We're going to sit down with you. We're going to write that bid on site because we want to try to make it work for you, right?
Yeah.
If I put a bunch of numbers together and just email you a bid, right, you're going to have a ton of questions. And it's way better to answer those questions, I feel like, and we feel like as a company, answer those questions at the table. Get them all answered and just get it all out there.
Yeah.
And then make it work for people. So, again, just customer service and just really nailing that down.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty good. That's one of the things I find interesting is if you have a warranty on any appliances, you've always got a very broad date. And then in my experience, technicians, if they don't want to come out on a certain day, will try to go in and change the date. I've had that happen a couple times, and that's from a customer perspective, when I'm having to change my schedule, that's frustrating.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's. I hear it every week. I called 5 companies, and you're the only one that showed up on time, and you're going to give me a bid now, like right now. That's such a surprise to a lot of people. Like, absolutely, let's put a number to it for you.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, though. I mean, it's kind of the way that people used to do business.
Yeah,
so.
it's a handshake, a good old boy type thing.
Yeah,
and look at our reviews. Get on Google and check us out.
Yeah,
look at our reviews. I feel like you're going to see that a lot of those reviews are customer service. Man, they did a great job. Communication was great. This was great. So I just feel like that's really what we focus on. And obviously our repairs are top notch as well. But your repair could be great if you made a terrible impression on somebody and you were a jerk. Doesn't do you a lot of good. I mean,
it's very true.
You gave them a good repair, but you don't want to be a jerk.
Yeah. So what is obviously your side? You go in, you do the consultation. Let's say a customer decides to go with us post repairs. What's some of the feedback you get from those customers?
As far as at the back end, when everything's done, we get a lot of feedback from customers, and that's a lot of times when the reviews are done. They're not reviewing me as the consultant; they're reviewing the production crew. So a lot of the reviews you see on our website are because of how well they did. So the other feedback is, we get a lot of customer referrals. They're telling their friends, they're telling their family. That speaks volumes right there. If they feel comfortable enough that we did a good enough job to refer their grandma or grandpa or, brother, sister, whoever it may be, you just get a lot of feedback. Or if you happen to see them in a store, hey man, you guys did such a great job. My basement is bone dry. Walls aren't moving, man. You just did a great job. And that's happened to me. Walking in a Walmart on a weekend with my wife and kids, and hey, there was a customer right there. And he came up, shook my hand, said, man, you guys did such a great job. And that feels good. So,
Yeah. Well, you may have already answered my next question, but what do you think the coolest thing about your job is?
I like meeting new people. So I like coming into your home, try to bring that tension down. So I really like to come in. I like to meet new people. If you can't tell, I like to talk. So so I'll sit down and have, it may not all be about, we may not have the full conversation on foundation repair. I'm a big avid outdoorsman, so we talk about hunting, fishing. I mean, I'm a farm boy, so there's a lot to talk about. So I like to sit down and get to know people.
Yeah.
I'll do it to anybody in the store. It drives my wife crazy, but it just, I really enjoy, being able to come up with an awesome solution for somebody to get their house repaired at the right price. So it really makes me feel good. So that's what I really enjoy about it.
Good. If so, obviously this is going out. We only cover Kansas. For those that may be in surrounding states, we don't work in other states currently. What would you say to leave the people with if they're not inside of Kansas? They can't have us come out and do that consultation process. What should they look for out of a foundation company aside from showing up maybe on time and being friendly? What is something they need to know so they aren't maybe getting the kitchen sink thrown at them in their bid?
That's going to be a little hard. What I would say would be, if you're not in our service area, contact Safe Basements out of Minnesota. They have a dealer network throughout the whole United States. So if they don't have a facility in your general area where you're at, they can point you in the right direction on somebody that has these same products that, in a sense, is hopefully doing the same quality work as we are. If they're using the same products, you know they're going to be great. But yeah, I would definitely contact Safe Basements out of Minnesota, and they can get you pointed in the right direction. Some of the things that I would say, as far as, if you got a guy coming in and he's not talking to you, he's just kind of him-hauling around, oh, you need to do this and that. They have no explanation on why they're doing what they're going to do, and they have no tangible evidence showing you the issue that it's causing. And we've ran into that, unfortunately, a lot of times. You'll go in, you'll shoot your laser. The last guy said, hey, it's dropping. He didn't ever set up a laser, for one. And he said, well, this corner's got to be dropping because if you see this crack here, that tells you right there it's dropping. And this is a very common thing. And you get there and you set the laser up, and it's not that side at all. It's the other side of the house. So they would have just spent thousands of dollars possibly on a repair that they didn't need.
Yeah.
So it's just reading the person, make sure they're backing that up with evidence. I mean, have them show you, hey, why do you think that I need this here? And if they don't have a great answer, it's probably a red flag. So
yeah,
that would be one of the main things for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just use your best judgment.
Yeah.
Don't.
One of those things.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, there's not everybody out there's honest like they should be. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you could tell some stories about just that.
Oh yeah, we're not going to get into all that.
That's for another episode, maybe.
Yeah, we could talk for a long time on the things I've seen, previous repairs done, and all that fun stuff. So yeah.
Well, Cody, I really appreciate you sitting down today. It's kind of hard to nail you down because you're a pretty busy guy. There's always a foundation that needs to be repaired, it seems like, but that's a good thing and a bad thing, I guess. But guys, I just wanted to say thank you for, if you're kind of at this point in the video, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to us. We will be doing more of these moving forward. The big thing is we're not just doing this as a, hey, choose us over anybody else. We truly want people to understand what they're doing, what they're getting themselves into. And it doesn't matter if it's a service industry like ours or a general contractor. Know what you're purchasing. That way you're not wasting your hard-earned money on things that you don't need.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, and we if we're the first guy in, by all means get a couple more bids.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
you should always get multiple bids on anything you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, if the first guy tells you this, like I said before, the next guy may tell you that. You got to look at the facts. So
that's true. That's true. Well, guys, that's it for the second episode for Protecting Your Investments. Until next time, have a good one.